Okay, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Triplet Double Podcast. My name's Isaiah Hernandez, your host, and we've had a very exciting span of episodes the past couple of weeks. We've had a lot of different triplet fathers out here coming on and sharing their experiences, and I've just have seen the viewership go up, like the listeners go up and the downloads go up on each episode. So it's been awesome to be able to kind of see people engaging and listening and, really enjoying the episodes. So thank you everyone who's been part of the ride so far. It's been a lot. It's been a really great learning experience for myself. And I have a really special guest today. I know I say that every week, but this one is quite the anomaly, and I'll let him explain a little bit further why I say that. I have with me Fred, a triplet father out of Houston, Texas. Fred, welcome.
Good morning, Isaiah. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course, man. When you reached out, I was like, great, another triplet dad. And then we scheduled our intro call. And when we got further into it, you told me about like your guys' pregnancy journey. And I was like, wait a second. I like, all right, for sure, you got to come on and we got to talk about this because there's no, and I mean this, I'm sure there's others out there that have your guys' pregnancy experience with the triplets, but I think it's like you guys are like less than the one. Like it's so few that
It's
I think
super rare what happened, our experience
yes.
with having triplets.
So let's get into that. I think the people are probably like, well, what are they talking about? Like, well, how crazy can this be? So, Fred, if you don't mind, let's walk through that pregnancy journey from the beginning because you're already a father at this point,
Yes.
and so let's walk into that journey of finding out about the triplet pregnancy. And if you don't mind, just walk us through it all.
So I found out sometime around April that we were having triplets, and you know, my wife and I we've already had two kids already. We're trying for a third. My wife and I are, I guess, hyper fertile people. We can just
Mhm.
look into our eyes passionately and say, "Hey, let's make a baby," and then a baby
Yeah.
would appear. So it was never hard for us, and the both pregnancies were that we had prior to the triplets were they were pretty standard. There was nothing really crazy. So I had scheduled like a customer dinner that day that we were supposed to have
Mhm.
the first appointment, and I was like, you know what, this is just going to be a regular pregnancy. I'm just going to go do my meeting, and you can just have your appointment, and we're going to have a third kid.
You're like, we've been there. We've already had two.
Yeah,
We know
yeah,
this.
and
We
it's
know
like,
we know
I've been
the
there,
how it
it's my
goes.
first
Yeah.
rodeo.
Yeah.
This
Exactly. Yeah.
this is
You're
gonna
right.
be fine.
And let us know the date. Let us know the year actually, because I don't think we have established how old the triplets are and when this pregnancy happened. So when was this?
So this was, 2012.
Okay,
2012.
13 years ago. Yeah. All
Yeah.
right.
So, you know, when we were pregnant, of course, my wife was showing, and she was showing just a little bit faster. I was like, "Oh, this is, maybe her body's just used to it." So, like, no, it's like she was telling me already that, "Hey, I think there's something different about this one."
Was the symptoms pretty ramped up compared to the other two?
Yeah,
Like
it was they
yeah,
were the morning sickness was a lot worse.
severe.
She was
Yeah.
she was gaining, weight a little bit more, and I was like, "Oh, this is just standard. Like, we've already done this before."
Mm-hmm.
And, so, yeah, I went on I got on the airplane, I went on my trip, and, I had a layover in Cleveland, and my wife was gonna have her appointment while I was in the air, and, whenever I um, got off the plane in Cleveland, I saw that she had a message and was like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna see, she's gonna just tell me, how the appointment went." And I was thinking, it was gonna just be a standard message. "Oh, it's like this big and they're growing." And I thought, "Okay," but it wasn't that. It wasn't a standard like message. My so she so she leaves. So I answer and I listen to the voicemail, and she goes, "Hey, Fred, um, I just got done with my appointment. Um, I need you to call me back right away." And I was like, "Oh, there's probably like a complication or something that's
Yes, it's
worrying."
scary. You're right.
And I was like, "Okay, well, I guess I'll like I already had a layover, so I was just gonna go." I was walking over to a restaurant to go get something to eat, and she was like, "Okay, yeah, just call me back. I think everything's all fine, but you need to call me." And then right before she hangs up, she says, "But make sure you're not driving. Make sure you are not driving whenever you call me back." And I was like, "Uh-oh, this is
Yeah.
getting crazy." And so I was like, "Oh,
You're
wait,
like,
I
uh-oh.
I I have to
Yes.
figure out what's going on." And so I get to the restaurant in Cleveland, in the Cleveland airport, and I sit down, and I give her a call, and she's like, "Hey, are you sitting down? Are you at a is this a good time? You're not driving, are you?" He's like,
She
"No,
just wants to make sure you don't faint,
no."
right?
Yeah, she doesn't
Yeah.
think I'm gonna freak out. Well, she sends me a picture of the ultrasound, and I'm looking at it, and of course, like, I have no idea what I'm looking at. All you see is, like, all those circles. All I know is whenever I saw the ultrasound, I thought, "Oh, there's, like, 2 circles here." I was like, "Whoa, like, are we having twins?" It's like, "Well," it's like, "baby A and baby B is, they're growing okay, but baby C is a little bit, smaller than the other." And I was like, what are you saying?" It's like, "Are you saying that we're having triplets?" You said, "Yes."
Oh, man.
"What? Wait, how is that possible?" And then the waitress, she comes
Yes.
in and she's like, "Hello, sir, can I get you something to drink?" I was like, "I want you to get me the biggest beer you possibly can and just have them keep on coming because I have no idea what's gonna happen with my life after this."
You can't believe you were remote finding out about this. Oh my
Yeah, like, when
gosh,
she was
that's
there, she told me, whenever she saw the ultrasound, she's like, "Oh, there's 2," and she's like, "Oh, yeah, that's great." It's like, "I thought that was happening. I'm gonna tell Fred." And then the ultrasound tech found a 3rd. My wife,
oh,
like, she just started crying. She's like,
right.
"You okay?" Because 'Cause they're like, "Oh my gosh, we have 3 kids." Yeah,
Yeah.
it was crazy.
That is crazy because I now we'll have to, so, okay, so your wife so I had kind of like a similar experience because they had told us, again, wife had the morning sickness. Like, it was severe, and she had, like, she just kept saying, "I think it's twins, I think it's more, like, it just feels way different." And then when we're doing the ultrasound, right away, they're like, "Twins do twins run in your family?" And we're like, "Okay, here it is, it's twins." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And then they 'cause similar to, like, what happened to your wife, then they're like, "Oh, wait, they found a 3rd." Like, it was like, you know what I mean? They didn't discover triplets right away, it was like, "Wait, there's 2, and then, oh, there's a 3rd one afterwards." And so, yeah, I can imagine, like, I had lost it, like, I was speechless in that ultrasound. I can imagine your wife by herself being like, "Oh,
Yeah, I
man."
wasn't
Like,
there.
yeah. And then you're going to a work trip, so you thought this was gonna be a standard work trip, and then, mentally, I can imagine you're probably just, like, the whole time, trying to do business, but also
Yeah.
back of the mind,
Yeah,
you're
no,
like,
I
"Wait,
I was
you're like
supposed to go have
3."
dinner. I was supposed to have dinner with customers, and of course, when you get a phone call like that, I called them. I
Mhm.
was like, "Hey, yeah, something really big came up at work,"
Yeah.
and well, of course, it wasn't work, it was life. It's like, I'm gonna have to cancel, and I'm sorry." And so,
Wow.
like, I hadn't booked my hotel, and usually, your company, like, makes you book a hotel, travel plans, but I didn't have, Concur or those policies. So, whenever I found out, I was like, "Okay, I need to find a hotel that has a restaurant nearby, and I'm gonna just go get drunk because I have no idea what it." Like, I was just
Yeah, how to
done with them.
process
I was
this.
like, "Dude, I have no, I don't even really drink that much now." But I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh my gosh." Um, Funny thing is, if you're at a bar and you're drinking and you start talking with everybody there, and then you say, "Hey, I just found out my wife is having triplets and I don't know what to do." Dudes will buy you drinks for free. They'll say, "You need this more than I care." They're just
Yeah.
I was like, "This is the first time I've ever had dudes buy me a drink at a bar." And I
You're
understood
like, "Nice."
who they were.
Yeah.
Perfect strangers.
That's funny. That's awesome. Okay, so you guys alright, so first ultrasound, obviously, I'm assuming you come back relatively quick, and then, after work, and then when did it kind of like, how often were you guys doing the ultrasounds?
So we did that like once a week. So we had a fetal medicine doctor that would look at the babies once a week. And we would go see the OB, I think maybe every other week, just because
Okay.
it was a high risk pregnancy.
Mhm.
Being in the in Houston, you have the medical center, the Texas Medical Center. It's they, they're gonna play things by the book on how
Yeah.
everything should go. And so yeah, we had two doctors managing the pregnancy. You have your OB, and then you have your fetal medicine doctor.
Okay, nice. And they did it weekly right away. Was it be just because they were just like, "Hey, this is how we wanna do it," or was it because your wife had mentioned, "Hey, one of them's growing smaller than the other." Was that why they were kinda, like, staying on top of it? Do you remember?
No, it was more of they wanted it. It was just to make sure everything was proceeding as planned.
Okay. Yeah, they were just
So
being extra
I don't know.
cautious.
Did
Yeah.
you have to go like once a week or?
We started every 2 weeks. They were like, "Hey, it's a high risk pregnancy." This is through Kaiser, so, obviously they're huge, so I don't know what the whole practice is across the board, but they had started they're like, "Hey, high risk pregnancies are seen every 2 weeks." And so, and we just were like, "Okay, there's multiple babies, that makes sense why it's high risk." I didn't know all the statistics that go into like how high risk this pregnancy is, you know what I mean? I just knew we're like, "Okay, like it makes sense. There's more than one baby. It's high risk." So, they did every 2 weeks, but then we had s then after a certain point, after 16 weeks, when we had kind of thought like, "Hey, this pregnancy is going to be smooth sailing," we found out we had severe growth restriction with baby C. So that caused them to get our parentologist, the high risk, doctors. We had to see her every week, and so they're like, "Yeah, you have to come in every week now because baby C is, has growth restriction, and we have to make sure she's doing okay because this can go anyway, like you know what I mean, depending how it goes." So they're like, "You have to be seen every week," and so that's when they started us doing weekly. I know a few other people who had to do weekly as well, but I don't know if I don't think it was I think I think it just depended on their which facility, like the medical facility, like which hospital, like what their practices were, I guess, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
So,
think we did have one of the babies was just a little bit smaller than the other, and then
okay,
just out of precaution that
right.
we're supposed to go every single week.
How was that first ultrasound being there when you came back and you're able to see it and when they do, like, all the measurements, and, those are long ultrasounds. I mean, now they're like, because my triplets were born last year. That ultrasound took, like, an hour because they had to do the head measurements, the organ measurements, right? That took, like, 90 minutes every time. I don't know what it was like 12,
Well,
13 years
several
ago. I'm
was
assuming it was the
never
same.
yeah, whenever we went to the fetal medicine doctor, yeah, it was those were long appointments because they had to take the measurements, of each of the babies. But yeah, I would say that just about every single one was pretty boring, I would
Yeah.
because like, I mean, I'm trying to, keep all in contact and still, do my job. So, I mean, I
Yes.
would bust out my laptop and I would do work while they're taking measurements in
Right.
the, I guess the imaging room. So so yeah, it was I don't know, I was just bored. I was like, it was boring, which is great. That's what you want
Yeah.
whenever.
That's good because I'd rather be bored than, like, being kind of, like, really, like, anxiety filled and be like, "Oh my gosh, please let everything be okay." You know what I mean? Like, "Please, please, please." So that's good. I mean, I'm glad work kinda helped, a little with that, and also, you obviously had a great care team, so that also put some peace of mind a little bit, I'm sure. Yeah. So, this is where the anomaly comes in because I think everyone's kinda like, "Well, there's been spontaneous triplets before. You're a spontaneous triplet dad. You had another spontaneous triplet dad." Fred is a spontaneous triplet dad, but the anomaly here is at a certain point, you guys I don't know, do you remember how many weeks you guys were when
It
you
had to been
discovered?
somewhere around 30 weeks. I don't know,
Okay.
plus or minus a few weeks. Um, we were already going into this thinking it's going to be a cesarean, right? But about the around the 30-week mark, we saw on the ultrasound that, oh, one of the babies is head down. We're like, that could possibly mean we could have a vaginal delivery.
Mhm.
So we were with that we had that in the back of our mind that to ask.
Yeah.
And we proposed that to our OB, and she was like, "I mean, yeah, we normally don't do that, but this provides you that option." It's higher risk because you have to have the babies make it to full term. The baby has to remain head down. And everybody has to be healthy in order to attempt something like that. And she said, the OB said, "Hey, well we would like to try to attempt that, but we're gonna do
Okay.
it by year. If something happens and we're gonna have to deliver these babies, but if somehow everything works out, we should do that." And one of the things we're like, "Hey, we need this other reason. Like, we have two young kids. Like, I had whenever the triplets came, I had 5 kids under 5 years old, and
Mhm.
um, I didn't want my wife to have a cesarean and then, have a longer recovery. It's like, we need to see if we can do this vaginally if it's possible. And the OB said, yes, I think we can try and do that. And then when consulting with the fetal medicine doctor, like we had an amazing team, like a medical care team. So our doctor was already very experienced
Mhm.
in this. And then the fetal medicine doctor who was monitoring the triplets, he was probably like an older gentleman, maybe 70, I don't know, maybe close to 80 years old, one of the highest respected doctors in the field, that gets to go to conferences every month to have him like give talks about multiples and fetal medicine health. And so whenever those two consulted, they're like, yeah, he was like, I don't see why not. I think this would be fine. And so we we just tried to go according to plan. Um, I said that it was a boring pregnancy, right? Whenever we go to these appointments. I mean, not to say that we were still under a lot of stress, right? We're like
Mhm. Right.
just hoping that everything else, works out. And so every single week, like we were able to like breathe a little bit easier. We'll be able to
Yeah.
breathe a little bit easier. And 30 weeks, I think we got to at 30 weeks are like, oh, these babies, like they can survive in the NICU. And it wasn't until like 34 weeks we were like, oh man, we made it. I think like we shouldn't have too many complications after this. And I think we could really, really breathe. But still it was so stressful. Those 9 months, almost 9.
Yeah. And balancing the toddlers at home, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Imagine,
yeah.
yeah, trying to, like, keep your mind everywhere, like, take care of your wife, then you got the toddlers, and then I'm sure your wife, and this has probably helped having the toddlers. I know, I think Elizabeth, my wife, and I have always said, like, we think if we didn't have the toddlers, like, it could have been a rougher pregnancy, if you know what I mean, because we had to, like, always move and be with them. Like, there was no, like, sitting down, like, resting mostly all the time. Like, of course, she rested when she could, but I think with the help of having the older kids kind of, like, being you're staying active, I think, as, like, the mom is staying active. And I don't know if there's anything that correlates to that, saying that, yes, that's helpful or not, but we like to think, and you know what I mean? And I don't know how, if you remember how tired your wife was, or how uncomfortable she was, or if she was still on the go a lot with the kids, but just wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah, so it's funny, when it comes to pregnancies, with me and my wife, what was funny is that, like, the times where I was, like like, I was just a total jerk. I'll be like honest, like, during her pregnancy, she's pregnant and she's growing a baby, but of course you don't see that bump. And we were like in the middle of those two pregnancies, we're moving from like apartment to a house to a house, like through my two oldest. And I was like, we need to unpack. We need to like get all our stuff out. And she's like, oh, I'm so tired. I was like, and me just like not realizing, oh, like she doesn't even look like there's a bump. but she's not only just growing a kid, she's growing an organ too, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm
Yes.
like, "Oh, man, I'm such a jerk. I shouldn't treat her like that." It's like, "Oh, you need to get up, you need to unpack." And of course, but with the triplets, it was like, "Oh, like, you go rest. I will get you anything that you want. Like, I'll take care of the kids." Like, there was none of that because you're like, "I need to make sure that she is, like, stress-free as much as possible so that we can, grow these kids."
Yeah.
One of the interesting things, like, we didn't really have much, like, knowledge, like, on triplets, like, we didn't have this podcast,
Mhm.
I didn't know about the triplet Facebook groups until, like, after my kids were older. And so we're kind of like flying blind as far as like knowing people who actually had triplets. So we just had to look at the books. We
Yeah.
some of the research, and so my wife looked at a book and about triplet pregnancies or multiple pregnancies about okay, trying to get them healthy and growing. She read that, you have to eat more calories and have more protein. And my wife, I mean, she's only like a buck and change, right? So you have this tiny lady and she's like trying to devour like close to 3,000 calories a day.
Wow.
Just like it was like she's like a bodybuild, like eating like a body, I guess,
Yeah.
with protein. And I was like, oh, that just looks painful. Like, whenever you see,
Yeah.
those people who do those, hot dog eating contests, like a 4th of July, like, just just trying to fit more food in their mouths, like, "Oh, don't make these babies grow." It's
Yes.
painful, like, that early, period. Um, but yeah, we had no idea what we were getting into with multiples. And so we had to really rely on our doctors, rely on what we could find information wise. Uh, there was just not a whole lot out there.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, still there's a lot of articles now and all that, but like and we have way more online communities, which is great. And I think, a podcast like this obviously helps because people are able to learn a few things from different families that have gone through it and understand like what they did and what happened. And you know what I mean? Like I've had people who delivered at 27 weeks on here. And that's super scary when you think about it, but it's also a message of that it's doable. Like, you know what I mean? Like you can that
Yeah, babies
and
can survive after.
babies can survive, you know what I mean? And obviously, the medical like sciences and all that like has been able to help take care of these babies at such a early delivery. But it's just good to share because I think going into this, nothing's guaranteed. Like nothing's guaranteed you're going to make it to that 34 weeks. Nothing's guaranteed you're gonna like how what like where your delivery is going to go because anything can happen and it's such a high risk pregnancy. And so, like, you could deliver at 27 weeks, you can deliver at 34, 37 in your case, which we would like to jump into. So, okay.
To be honest, I
Yeah.
think I think actually my our doctor got in trouble with their board for allowing this to happen.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah,
Wow.
like our she is a she's a staunch advocate for women. And she will go to bat for her patients. Um, that's why I don't wanna give her name out because then everybody's gonna want her like her.
Yeah, everyone's gonna start hitting her up, asking
But
questions. Yeah.
she really fought for my wife, on this, allowing her to go to 37 weeks and then allowing her to have a vaginal delivery. And I just remember whenever we, arrived, I I I can almost imagine that she had to sit in front of a board and they were like questioning her. Like, why did you
Right.
do this? Why did you do that? Why did you let this go past 35 weeks? This is not standard procedure. And she said, I guess, you know, this was what was good for her and good for her family. We monitored her past those other weeks, and we thought that this would be the best case for her. And so I thank her. I think my wife's owed me for that. She did a
Yeah.
fantastic job advocating for my wife.
I think that's like everything that you had said. Like, I think with the way the triplets had turned, one of them had turned, Like, this whole situation, I mean, I can imagine how uncomfortable your wife is making it that far, like, I don't mean and you even said she's kinda small herself, right? Like, she's not, like,
Huge.
super tall.
Well, she weighed more than I did at one time.
Yeah.
I was like, "Dude, this is crazy."
Yeah,
Of course,
yeah.
like, you go into the the, uh, doctor's office and, you have some other ladies are like, "Oh my gosh, you look like you're about to pop."
Mhm. Yeah, always. I'm sure she got that constantly.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, the pictures, I'm like, "I cannot believe my wife, as tiny as she was, got to that big." Um,
Was she able to sleep? Do you remember her, like, able to, like, sleep at all? Like, when
I
she got
mean,
past
yeah, I mean, uncomfortably,
Yeah, I was
n
like, you know what I
not
mean? Like, I was
easy.
just trying Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we did whatever position that she could sleep in, um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was not easy for her.
So the stars aligned. Really, this is kind of where this is what it is because this situation, I mean, one, because I think that's probably why the vaginal birth is so that whole situation is so low because I think you can't do vaginal births. Like I have no, and I'm no expert at this. So, but I think because the cutoffs at like general practice is 35 weeks, right, for triplet deliveries. I think that might be part of also why like they may not be able to say like, hey, 35 weeks, okay, we can do vaginal birth. They might be too tiny, or I'm not sure why, um, but yeah, the stars align. You got the triplet turned over, and then she made it 37 weeks. So this is just such a fascinating thing because, like I said, I've never met or heard of anyone out there who had done a vaginal delivery. So was there like do you remember like, how was that delivery room? Like, how was that? Like, how big was the team? What did that look like? Do you remember like, how many people were in there with you guys?
It was one of the craziest experiences of my life. I don't know how it was like with you. Like, normally whenever we had our 2 other kids, we were just in one of the, delivery rooms. It's not much bigger than,
Yeah.
a standard hospital room, right?
Right.
Um, in this case, we went straight into an emergency room, and, we went in there, and I see, like, there's, like, 20 people
It's a huge
in there.
team. Yeah.
It was a huge team, and I was looking around. There were 5 doctors in that room. There was, our OB, my wife's OB, the fetal medicine doctor, one of the directors from the hospital who was overseeing this, the, um, anesthesiologist, and there was, like, another doctor there. I forget what they were for. But, yeah, there were 5 doctors. There were, 3, nurses and technicians for each of the babies, so that's, like, 9. Um, there were other nurses, assisting, the OB, nurses assisting the anesthesiologist, and there were also people, like, on phones, like it looked like a military operation was going on, like something
Yeah.
crazy was going down. You have all these monitors everywhere, all these people,
Hmm.
like, talking. Um, yeah, I couldn't imagine, um, a a surgery because, like, my mom's a nurse. I'm Filipino, my nurse, and these surgeries are pretty boring. It just takes time. But this was like something I've never seen before. I mean, how was that experience for you and your wife?
It was pretty much the same. We didn't have phones or anything like that because I think it was a standard cesarean. So they were like, "Hey, we know what." Like I think they already kind of they know the game plan and all that. I think of course we had all the NICU because we were at 34 weeks, so of course all the whole NICU team was there. Basically, the primary NICU doctor who oversees the entire the Riverside Kaiser's NICU team, he was there, and then he had all his nurses there. They had a NICU doctor as well that was underneath that primary doctor,
Yeah, that
and
probably was
then
a
they had
NICU doctor. Like,
yes,
yeah,
yeah, and right because I'm sure there was one just in case, right, for your babies, and then you had all the nurses who were working on the helping the surgery with the cesarean and all that. So we had like at least like 15 to 20 people
yeah,
minimum. Yeah, I would say probably 20 honestly because I think if you count all the nurses for each baby, and then all the doctors that were in there. So it was crazy, and we were in the bright surgery room, like white as it can get inside that room, like just bright white, and curtain. All I was sitting next to my wife, and they had a curtain over it, so we couldn't obviously see the cesarean, but that was what ours was. So, and the other two babies were vaginal births, so we didn't have one before, and I never knew what this looked like, but I just knew it was just really just trying to hold it together because I'm just like, I need to make sure I hear these babies cry
Yeah.
because that was the thing. Yeah, I mean, that was the scary part. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think, when one I think the last one came out, she didn't come out crying. But that was crazy because there's, like, so much room in, uh, like, in my wife's, like, area down there, like, the 3rd baby doesn't wanna come out during vaginal birth, and so or yeah, there's just push because there's so much space, and so,
Yeah.
um the doctor, I remember this. She goes, "Oh, yeah, this one's not coming out. We're gonna have to vacuum her out." And the doctor
Oh, wow.
looks at me, and she's like, "Oh, look, like you can see your other two babies over on the screens." And we look, and then it was like, "Turn on." Like I can't,
Oh, wow.
she didn't want us to see what was going on with that back
Jeez,
then.
man.
And, yeah, like, she came out and I guess, she needed a little bit more help, but
Mhm.
yeah, and then she came out fine. Yeah.
How was it? How was that delivery? Were you like, were you was anxiety high, or do you
Oh, of
remember how you
course.
were feeling?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I was just not I had no idea what was gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I was praying that everything would go well for everybody.
Mhm.
Um But yeah, like, they have I guess they call them crash pads or crash beds for the triplets, and yeah, the only thing that happened was like, oh, they have low blood sugar, coming out.
Mm.
So they're just like just trying to get them, to be more active and to get their blood sugars normal. But
Okay.
even so, all the babies they came out close to about 5 pounds, just a really good weight.
Wow. Yeah, it's a really good weight.
And then only one of them had to stay in the NICU just for observation, and she wasn't feeding very well, and
Yeah.
so she only had to stay there for just a couple of days just to make sure that she could feed, properly, and yeah, we took 2 home, like, right away.
Wow, that's awesome. That is awesome. I think that's like such a great. Obviously, it's the ideal outcome, right? Because I
Yes.
mean, you don't want. I mean, like again, I've talked about this in previous episodes. We love the NICU. We love the team there. They do great, amazing work. And of course, though, if you don't want to go within the NICU. It's not a bad thing, but you don't want to go there, especially when you're having multiples. But it's good because I think it's a great sign that these babies were 5 pounds, basically 5 pounds, right? They were healthy and they were able to come home right away. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
And you're able to hold them right away. You didn't have
Yeah.
to have that separation to where it's like they are in the incubators or anything, You're not having to wait a day or 2 days, whenever it is to hold them, however long, till they can make sure they're all good.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Yeah, I remember, like, we were able to do the same stuff with my other 2 kids
That's cool.
and, get them dressed, and it was nice.
That's awesome. How did your wife do during the delivery? Was she just like, she's like, hey, she was maxed out. She like,
Well, she was conscious the whole entire time and,
oh, okay.
telling her, exactly what was kind of going on. Um,
Okay.
yeah. Um, it it just seemed surreal.
Yeah. I can imagine she just pushed out 3 babies.
Yeah, they came out, like, within, I think, like, 11 minutes of I no, I think maybe 40 minutes of each other. So it was I mean, we were
Oh, really? Okay, so
yeah,
that's crazy, okay.
yeah,
So, yeah, because she's pushing and they had to get them each out, so that makes sense. There was a time gap between each, like, that big of a gap. Because normally when you do the cesarean, it's like, "Baby A," 2 minutes later, baby B, baby
Yeah,
C. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's
yeah. I mean, they're
right.
doing ultrasounds also to make sure that all
Yeah.
the babies are
Oh,
doing
okay.
well as everybody's coming out. Yeah, it was crazy.
Do you remember if because I'm sure it was very high stakes in that room for obvious reasons. Do you remember if they were like, "Hey, this is what can happen. Like where we may have to if this delivery does not go smooth as far as like the vaginal delivery, we may have to get ready for an emergency C-section."
Oh yeah.
Like is that what they were saying? Did they communicate all that? Okay.
Oh yeah. No,
Yeah,
they
okay.
let us know that
Yeah.
okay, like well, if we have to switch on a dime, we're going to switch on a dime, and
Gotcha.
they have all the people there to do it, right?
To do it, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the 2 people were there on the phones doing. I think they were just relaying communications to everybody,
Yeah.
what's kinda going on and what equipment that they needed, like, because I think, once, if they have to flip to C-section, then, like, other equipment has to come in.
Yeah,
So
makes sense.
I'm not sure, but it 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 was probably like what I would see, like if people were going to war, right? Like, okay, like you're yeah, like you have so many moving pieces, and everybody has to communicate well that everything happens, and if something changes, like everybody can make a switch to the next emergency. But we didn't have that. We didn't have to have those kinds of complications, which was just such a blessing.
Yeah, that is amazing to hear, and I'm just can't that's 13 years ago, and I think everything about this story is just super impressive. It's just, it's just so rare, you know what I mean? And
Yeah. So so
obviously has yeah,
so
go ahead.
how old are your triplets or your
They're 19 months.
19 months. So
Yeah.
how are you holding up? Like, I would say for me, the pregnancy was the easy part and delivery
Mhm.
was the easy part. It was just after that they came, like, it was like, mentally, it was probably one of the hardest parts of my life.
Yeah.
How are you holding up?
We're doing better now. I mean, of course, it's still busy, like, I mean, there's never, like you need a lot of help,
Yeah.
that's for sure. Like, we definitely need more hands, so that's been great because 'cause we've been able to have that always, but, yeah, it was that, like, when you we had a 2-week period where they didn't have to come home. So there was a little bit of that catch up, you know what I mean, that
Yeah.
I've said before, and so,
It
there's pros and
allows
cons
your
to the
wife to
NICU.
rest, which is
Huh?
actually kind of nice. Allows your wife to rest after.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, there's pros and cons, you know what I mean, like, if you ask my wife about it, she was so appreciative of the NICU, but she was also devastated because she's like, "I can't hold them," you know what I mean, like, that was so hard for her. So, like I said, there's pros and cons, so at least we had that 2-week, uh, rest, but the hard part is that the hospital was like 40 minutes away from us. So, we only had, like, 4 nights there. I think it was, like, 3, maybe 4 at the most, where we gotta stay there, and then we were able to be in the NICU and check on them. But after the 2 weeks, once we brought them home, doing the doing the twins, because our baby C was in there for 3 months, basically,
Oh wow.
because she was only 1 pound, 1 pound, 9 ounces. Yeah, so they had a lot of they had to do a lot of stuff for her, and she had to spend a lot of time growing, but we had the twins for a bit, and we kinda had gotten that down, with them and the toddlers, because 'cause you're like, "Okay, there's the 2, it's easy to feed the 2, right?" Like, um, that was that was better. And then when we added the 3rd one, it really threw things into her like, "Oh, man, this is okay. This is a big gap. This is a big difference." You know what I mean? This is big.
Somebody's gonna have to be crying.
Yeah, someone's always yeah, and then,
Yeah,
you
I got two
know
arms.
yeah. And then the NICU schedule helped, kept them all really structured, and my wife's always been very structured, like, as far as feedings and everything with the babies, and so it's been easy for me to help because she had already has a game plan for it, and I just need to do my part of the game plan, like, that's it. And so that was always good, but with the triplets, thankfully, the NICU helped us get that schedule, and we stuck with it since they came home, and it was just it's hard because you have to feed them, like, especially if they're, like, underweight, like, they had to eat every 2.5, 3 hours, and it was just nonstop in the middle of the night. You had to wake up and get them, you know what I mean? And so that was hard. And then of course, you have two other kids on top of it, like that also they're not teenagers, they're toddlers that's trying to figure things out too. So yeah, that's that whole first year definitely
No,
was
I
a
don't
hard time.
remember it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. I
mean,
was gonna say,
all I
you don't
remember
probably don't
that
remember everything.
I was I was depressed, like, through
Yeah.
the whole thing, because like, you're sleep deprived.
You're right.
You're thinking, "Okay, I still wanna do a really good job at work." You're also trying to, take care of, 2 other little kids who need your help. Um,
Mhm.
for you toddlers, I had a 5-year-old, so she could help a little.
Yes.
Um, and then you're also like, your finances are also kinda takes a big hit.
Mhm.
It's a perfect storm for most triplet, dads and mothers to just really go through like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy. This is not what I signed up for in life."
Yeah. Yeah, when you look at that, you're kind of yeah, exactly. I don't think anyone thinks that it's gonna happen to them,
Yeah.
especially spontaneously. Like, I think, when you go through fertility treatments, it's a
Yeah,
possibility.
that's
And I think in general, I guess you can always know it's a possibility because it happens, but I think, and yet, like, you have options, of course, when you find out, but, everyone's paths are different and how they pursue it, and I think obviously we were presented all our options. We chose the route that we went, and, this is our journey. This is what we were ready to take on. And I think when prepping into it, you think like, yeah, we know it's gonna be busy. We know all that. But then when it actually happens, you're like, oh yeah, this is this is way different. This is way busier than you have ever imagined, right? Because like everything changes. Like, of course, everything changes when you have one kid, but everything changes with having multiples because you just can't stop what you're doing to do something else. Like, you know what I mean? Like everything is on their schedule.
yeah.
Everything revolves around them. Like, because there's just 3 babies. Everything changes, significantly changes.
Like, you don't know what you can do unless you're stretched, right?
Mhm.
People are like asking me, how did you deal with all like your 2 older kids and triplets? It's like you just have to, right? Like
Yeah,
like, am I gonna like starve my kids? Am I just gonna just ball up and cry? Well, maybe for a little bit.
yeah. You'll have your moments, yes.
I had my moments. Um, but I mean, you still have to, just get up every single day and just try your best. Your
Yeah.
expectations on what a good day is becomes, just like pretty low, right?
Mhm.
I just need to get these kids fed. I need to be able to do my work. And just try to make it to the end of the day.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, no yeah.
my health got really, really bad during that first like year and a half.
Mhm.
It was just like you wake up and you're already sleep deprived. So you're like, I'm gonna get some coffee, right?
Yeah.
Drinking just caffeine throughout the day, Dr. Peppers and coffee. And then at the end, you're like, I'm so stressed out. And then you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna have a drink before going to bed. And it's
Right.
like and you I mean you do like that shouldn't happen. But you do, just like this is what you think that you need in order to make it through the day. And
Yeah.
yeah, I gained so much weight
Oh, really?
during
Yeah.
during this period.
Y yeah. I definitely gained weight too. I was because I like you said, because 'cause you're going through it and you're like, you have the sleep deprivation. You can't, like again, we said everything changes. You can't enjoy like, you can't really watch TV, you know what I mean? You can't take a second, like, just these little things that sometimes you wanna, like, relax on. It's harder, it's a lot harder because you have to plan really far in advance to kind of figure out, like, "Okay, do I have 30 minutes to do this?"
Yeah.
I don't know because it's gonna be very hard to balance feeding schedules, naps, giving everyone else a break too, like, all the parents all need breaks, so being able to do that and kind of like split it up fairly, you know what I mean? So where one person's not getting all the rest and then one person's managing everything and,
Yeah.
always in it. Um, so that was hard. So, but like, yeah, you kind of eat more. You know what I mean? You're not as like you're active because you're taking care of the babies and stuff, but you're not really doing anything for yourself, like working out. Like working out's hard.
Yeah,
Um, but then throughout the end of the day, you're kind of just like, oh man, finally I can sit down, and then a drink helps, and that's the hard part because it's just your body like craves it, but you don't need it, and then that can be, that's happened. I've seen a lot of parents have shared that, like, you know what I mean? And even in the triplet dad group, there was a dad who talked about, "Hey, like, I gotta stop drinking because, like, has anyone else had this problem?
yeah,
Because it's been hard for me to put the bottle down because I'm like, at the end of the day,
you're done.
I'm maxed out.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm
you get
maxed out.
I mean, you're cleaning up, poo and pee and getting screamed at
Yeah.
the entire like, time, especially when
Yeah.
trying to put these kids to bed. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh. Like, after that, you're like, "Oh, man, I just need to have a drink," or, "I need to just"
Right.
like, I need to find some way just to de-stress after that stressful moment.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. So
You should
that's
go
the
and
real
work
issue.
out, but no,
Yeah.
like, I just wanna sit.
Yeah. Exactly, like, you should do the other things, and then you're just like, "No, I just need to sit and drink something," and that's and I'm glad you brought that up because I think that's,
Yeah, it
I
can be a
think
problem for
it can be a problem, and you gotta be able to recognize, "Hey, you you gotta control it because
yeah.
it definitely won't help you waking up the next morning or in the middle of the night," you know what I mean? You're like, have a drink, and you're like you wake up all sluggish, and you're like, "Oh, great. I have to go help. I have to go get the babies because they're crying. One of them's crying or, get feed them, whatever it may be."
Yeah, and
Yeah.
what's funny is, like, I wear, like, one of these, like, watches, like, that measure your health and your
Mhm.
sleep, and you're like, "Oh, I shouldn't drink because then my sleep is like, just ruined." Like, even just
Yeah.
one drink, and I'm like, "Oh, man, I really shouldn't have done that back then."
Yeah. Yeah. That's what yeah, I agree. I've just gotten out of that phase, you know what I mean? And I do look back and I'm like, I didn't you gotta I should definitely not needed to drink some of those nights because I'm like, I didn't need that is not really helpful, you know what I mean? That just wasn't it. Now that I'm out of that phase, I'm like, oh, I can drink more, but I don't because I'm just like,
No,
I don't really, yeah, I don't
I
like
don't
it
care. I
doesn't make,
really don't care about it anymore.
yeah, it's like, you don't need, you don't really crave it or anything like that. And I don't really drink anymore. I'll have a beer once in a while, but I definitely am not,
Yeah,
um, you know what I mean? I definitely don't create, try to, my body doesn't tell myself, like, I need this. Like, it's a Thursday night football. I need this. I'm like,
yeah.
no, I'm like, okay.
Okay, my
And
life
that's,
is
yeah.
not quite as stressful as it was back then. I don't know
Yeah.
about you, but my tolerance for pain and stress, like, my understanding of it, like, there's not really much that phases me as much after
Hmm.
going through that experience, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I get, like, physical pain, like, stress, like, yeah, it can add up, but I'm like, "Dude, I had to deal with triplets and raising 5 kids under 5." Like,
Yeah.
I'm, like, so much stronger than that.
Yeah.
There's not much that bothers me.
Right. And how has that been? And I think like we talked about the stress of it, and I think anyone who may be listening may be like, "Oh man, this is going to be quite the journey that we're on." And I think everyone knows that, of course, um, but I do think like I always, you know, I hear great compliments all the time, and I've talked about some of the, the annoying compliments you get from strangers, where you're just,
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
no, like, people
yeah,
are weird. Man, I've heard
yeah,
some really weird stuff, like, whenever especially, like, when they were little.
yeah,
Yeah. Like, I just remember, like, taking, like, the triplets, like, they were like infants, like, and they were, like, in
hmm,
the grocery store with us, and, like, like, a young, like, 20-year-old, young woman, like, just looks at us like, "Oh my gosh, 3 babies, I'd kill myself if that happened to me." I was like, "Wow."
yeah, dude. Someone said that too. Yeah, and you're like, damn, like really, jeez, okay. I know what you're saying, but come on. Do you think that's what we need to hear? Do you think that's what we need to hear right now?
Yeah,
Like,
the weird ones where, some people are like, "Oh, you have 3 babies? Ooh, can I have one?" I'm like, you know that sense of, "Okay, well, I am not going to let you out of my sight, and you need to leave now." Just making that comment. I get
Yeah.
you like one of my friends, like, oh, fine, but it's like a total stranger. It's like, don't
Yeah.
make that comment.
Yeah. I've definitely received some of those, and, like, we talked about it, and, it doesn't bother some parents. Some parents don't mind it, like, the multiples, and some do, and I think it just really depends on the day they catch you, really,
Yeah.
because 'cause you're dealing with, obviously, with the, day-to-day of juggling this many children, especially, as little as they are, but I think what I was gonna say is that, everyone knows what they're getting themselves into for the most part. They understand how busy it is, and then, of course, nothing that first year is just chaos. Like, it's just chaos a bit because 'cause you're trying to figure this all out. But I can imagine you can speak to this because your triplets are older now.
Yeah.
Mine are still they're not 2 yet, they're almost 2, but like, it really pays off, I mean, having this many kids at little, like, do you see that where you're like, this is awesome," like, having them all so close together, like the siblings, they keep each other busy, they have fun, they have a bond. You know what I mean? Like, do you see now, like, do you, like, look at that and you're just like, this is awesome, like, this is great, like,
Yeah,
having them.
every single day, whenever I have, I prepare dinner for the family, and
Mhm.
all of us are like at the table. Like I'm just like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
It's blessing. Like, the more kids that you have, the more blessings that they can be to each other. Like
Yeah.
people think that, oh, it's like, um, you know, parent and child, but there's so many relationships between each of individual my children, right? Like they have their own relationship with each other, and it's beautiful. I I I
Yeah.
I love seeing my kids. Well, of course, they're siblings, so of course they fight.
Right.
But whenever you don't have those fights,
Yeah.
it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to see those
Yeah.
relationships develop.
That's cool. Yeah, that's what I like. That's what I'm looking forward to too. Because I mean, they already all have a bond now. I mean, all 5 of mine already do. Of course, they play with each other, they run, and they do all the things kids do. Then, of course, they fight like all the time. So there's definitely that definitely won't change for a while. But yeah, I do think, like, and these were the compliments. These were the good compliments that I received because sometimes when you're in the thick of it, you're just like, man, this is tough. Like, this is hard. And then when strangers will talk to you, they're like, man, you are so lucky. Like, you have no idea how lucky
Oh
you
yeah,
are. Yeah. And those are the compliments that are always great to hear because it's just such a great reminder that it's just, like life could be so different. And this is where life is for us,
yeah,
and this is awesome to have to deal with.
yeah. No, speaking about that, I told you this was like one of the hardest experiences that I've had in my entire life, and for all you know triplet dads or parents of multiples. And you kind of have those moments where you're so stressed out and you're just resentful about life. Like, why is it so hard? Why do I have so many of these problems?
Hmm.
I was just in a rut for a while, and
Yeah.
it just took me some time to kind of get out, which is I trying to pull yourself out of something like that is hard. It's terrible.
Yeah.
But there was one like it requires like a mental switch. And I think the one thing that really helped me put everything in perspective was that looking at other parents, right? Like when you're so busy taking care of your kids, you don't look up and see like other people, uh, your other friends. I have friends who they can't have kids, they can't conceive their own children, right?
Yeah.
And I also have a couple of friends. They've raised kids that have type 1 diabetes, and they have to wake up every so often to make sure that their kids don't just die in their sleep. And, I thought about them, and I was like, oh my gosh, like we're so blessed. Like the ability to have that burden of waking up and having crying kids, healthy kids in my bed, like they would be so happy to be in my situation. They would be incredibly blessed to be in my situation, and so I thought, "Man, like, I really shouldn't be, seeing this as such a like suffering, right? And the way I look at it is that, burdens and blessings, they're basically um, two different sides of the same coin, right?
Mhm.
It just depends on which one you want to flip it on, the ones that you want to look at. And like if you really do bear those burdens well and as best as you can, like man, you become like awesome. You can become a better person because of it. And I want triplet dads to have understand that like it's perspective, understanding the
Mhm.
perspective of when you're raising these kids, there's other people who would would absolutely love to be in our situation, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Yeah, and that's just it's good to have that awareness, I mean, the self-awareness a bit to understand that because I think, yeah, like we see it all the time on the group. People are people are having hard days
Yeah, I mean,
on the
like
triplet groups.
the divorce is a high
Divorce is high,
level,
yeah. Divorce is very high.
like for people who have multiples, because you either your communication with your spouse improves or it gets worse.
Yeah,
So it just
100%.
magnifies either one. And yeah, like I don't know how people deal with it, but it's just waking up knowing, okay, I can either listen to how I feel,
Mhm.
make things worse, or I can just choose what's going to make this better, no matter how I feel.
Yeah, yeah. Did you and your wife, I know when you talked about being in a rut, did you like was your obviously I'm sure did your wife go through a rut as well? Do you remember like
No, she
you
didn't
guys
have postpartum depression.
okay.
I think that would have been even worse for like
Yeah.
like she I mean she might have, like, women have go through emotions as well, like
Yes.
after that, and they're trying to rebalance like the hormones. Um, but yeah, I don't think she had any sort of issues where she had to seek out counseling or seek out a doctor
Mhm.
for that. Um, you know, in some respects, my wife has a stronger head on her shoulders when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, it was me who was really struggling. Um,
Well, that's okay.
you know, um, one of the things that I just think also that makes having triplets like so lonely is because you're always there trying to take care of them. Like
Yes.
y- you have to have family and friends
Yes,
with
yes.
you. And how like I know you moved back to Colorado for your family. Do you have any friends, like have you been able to make friendships with people?
Not really like so like my wife's family's from here, so her cousins are nearby. So like when they come to town, like, they're our age, so it's always good to see them. And then she's got some cousins in town, but we don't always see everyone. And, and that's a hard act too, because you're kind of like, do I like, okay, if I go out or if I have people over, it requires a whole thing of like, all right, get the house cleaned up, get everything ready, and then you know what I mean? So, like and then you're like, kids are asleep. Kids go to sleep by, like, 7:38. Our kids are in bed by 7:38 right now. So, there's a lot of moving pieces there. Um, the friend aspect, you know, like, family here, great. The friend aspect, not yet. It's just been we just moved here, so, still working on that.
Yeah.
But it is very isolating because, like, again, like we said, you don't have like still at this stage, you have to kind of coordinate everything when you go out, when you know are figuring out like, okay, what are the weekend plans going to be, and babysitters, right? You know what I mean? Like, of
Oh yeah,
course,
and that gets expensive. Oh my god.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the grandparents are here, and the grandparents are very hands on, which
Yeah,
is amazing.
that's
But they
great.
also need a break. They also
Oh
need a break
yeah.
too. Like, what I mean, they can't be. It's not their kids; it's their grandkids. Like, they can't be taking care of like on the weekends. Like, it's like, okay, can you guys watch them for the weekend or for the night? We're gonna go out. So you have to like be very careful how you use those babysitting days because you want to use them strategically. You don't want to like take their time for granted, you know what I mean? And be like, "Oh, take advantage of anybody." You have to be very mindful of that. So, I'm working on the friend aspect, but
Yeah.
doing this podcast has been helpful because I can have these conversations. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? This is great.
absolutely. Yeah, when I like when I'm talking about like having that rut, like I realized that hey, I need to have like another layer of community over like my parents and really good friends
Yes.
because you know when you have triplets, like people want to help you, and like you said, like your grandparents are very hands on, like they're or the triplet, the your kid's grandparents, they're very hands on. Well, you also pull them down kind of with you through the
Hmm.
stress of everything. And
Yeah.
having people who aren't also in the who are like outside of the pit who can like, kind of help you give a better perspective helps so much, right?
Yes.
Because you draw in everybody who wants to help you and they want to help you with your burden of raising kids, but they can stress out too, and that's what happens with some of my in-laws and
Yeah.
my family, right? They also like were helping, but it's also super stressful. There's 5 kids.
Right. It is.
Oh,
Yeah, it is.
and triplets.
Yes. Right. Um, any other like I really appreciate you being so open on this call because I think it's just important like to share that. You know what I mean? I think to
Yeah,
let people know that like,
there's
hey,
so
you're
many
not.
layers to this. I mean, there's the health,
Yes.
like as far as like you need to
Yes.
get through the pregnancy, but then there's also that mental health aspect and the relationship aspect that people like. It's so there's so much that you have to do
Hmm.
when things like this happen.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you talking more about that. Um, do you have any before we go, do you have any other uh advice out there? I mean, your kids, your youngest are 13 years old or about to be 13 years old. So any advice out there for other parents, dads, moms out there with triplets who are still in this thick of it stage?
Um, yeah, it's you're just gonna have to just keep on going.
Yeah.
It's really it. But one of my favorite quotes, from Marcus Aurelius, Meditations. He talks about that. Whenever we're like, because basically when you become like a parent or like especially like a triple parent, like you're always having to do things like for other people, for your spouse, for your kid,
Hmm.
and it's just like continuous, right? Like you're gonna have to just like continually like put in work for other people, and you for one you need to also take care of yourself,
Hmm.
but also remember that, and Marcus Aurelius says this, he said that, when people do things for others, like, or do a favor, they call it, consider it like a debt, right? And, like, you're supposed to get something in return. Like, even if you don't have like, there's still that expectation, but we should be like a vine that grows grapes and produces grapes, for others and not caring that we're just doing it and giving it away, right?
Hmm.
Almost like we do it, and then we move on to the next thing, not caring as a vine expects to grow new grapes in the next season.
Yeah.
And it's just a constant, just giving that
Yeah.
just expect that you're gonna have to give and you're gonna have to give some more. But also you also need to give also into yourself too.
Nice. Well, thank you for sharing that. Fred, it's been such a great conversation with you. I mean, 37 weeks, vaginal delivery, quite the anomaly. And, I'm hats off to you, your wife, of course. And I'm really glad to see that your family is thriving. I mean,
Thank you.
you're out of that thick of it stage. You guys are thriving. You got teenagers now, which I'm sure comes with new,
New
what's it
problems.
called? Learning curves. Yeah,
So
new
yeah,
problems, new learning
just
curves.
just to expect, the the time intensity with those kids becomes less as they get older, but
Hmm.
the problems get much bigger.
Yeah.
So
Right. Well
something to
said. I'm
expect.
sure. Yeah, I'm sure. Well, thank you again. And to everyone listening, if you guys have questions for Fred, let me know. I'd be happy to get you in contact with his email. and I'm just recovering being sick. So, sorry for the coughing and all that stuff. But thanks again for listening, Fred. Thank you.
Thank you.